Hello and welcome back. This is another conversation in artificial intelligence. This is Paolo, your host, and it's a great honor and privilege to have you here today. So today we're going to talk about a very, I would say, unusual, but extremely illuminating topic around artificial intelligence. So many times in our channel, we have looked into application of artificial intelligence to specific industrial or, if you like, societal problems. Today, we're going to look at a very specific one, which is sewages. And you might not believe it. You might be surprised. You have never thought of it. But the fact is, yes, artificial intelligence can help with sewages. You cannot believe it, but that's the reality. So with me today, we have Matt Rosenthal, who is the founder of SewerAi. Hi, Matt. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I am very, very, very good. So, Matt, a very interesting proposition, what you have there. How did you end up thinking about AI and sewages?
Well, I've had a business in the area for about 8 years, and kind of over those 8 years, I've gotten to the point where there's a lot of repetitive work that because I'm involved in technology and just aware of what's going on, I realized that AI would be a pretty good application for that. It's kind of a pretty straightforward computer vision classification problem. So I've just been getting involved in AI, and I've had this business in the sewer inspection industry for several years, and I've just kind of seen where it's going, and I thought I would start a company to specifically inspect pipes using AI.
That's interesting. Let's take a look for a second at what you were doing in the industry where you were working. What it is exactly that you were doing in this industry, and basically help us understand how this type of services work, what's out there.
For a long time, I was doing data analysis software in the industry. So in sewer pipes, there's a couple different size pipes. One of them is very large pipes, and those get inspected with laser and sonar. So I was writing software that would analyze the laser and sonar inspection data. And a lot of the work that I was doing was labeling defects such as joints or cracks or crossbores, just problems that they have in sewers. And it got to be very repetitive and not all that much fun. So that's kind of where I came up with the concept of applying AI.
Where are these large sewage pipes located, and how many do we have in the United States?
Yeah, so it's interesting. The large pipes make up about 1% of all the pipes in the US, and then there's the other 99%, which are the smaller pipes. So at any given city will have one or two what they call interceptor, these large pipes that run across the city, and they typically take all the sewage to the treatment plant. And then leading into these large interceptor pipes are the mainline pipes. And these are the 6-inch or 8-inch pipes that running all over residential neighborhoods, commercial neighborhoods. And this is the much larger volume of pipes that are out there. The laser and sonar is typically only done on the larger pipes because they really care about corrosion and information like that. And then in the smaller 6-inch and 8-inch pipes, they really only inspect it with cameras. And they're looking for cracks and roots and mineral deposits, anything that they see in these small pipes. And that's the new business that I'm starting, is basically automating the defect labeling in these small pipes, because there's so many pipes. There's actually about 6 billion feet of these pipes in the US, and they're supposed to be inspected about 1 billion feet of them every year.
Why cities have to inspect these sewage pipes?
So actually, many of the pipes, there's a fun stat. In 2020, which is 8 months away, more than half the pipes in the country will be beyond their expected lifetimes. So you install a pipe, it's expected to last 50 years or 75 years or 100 years. And there's pipes that have been in the country for 50, 100, 150 years, and they're beyond their expected life. And over time they break, and you need to fix them. If you don't fix them, you have sewer overflows, which are like just sewage overflowing into the creeks and waters and oceans around the country. So you have to inspect the pipes so you know how to fix them to stop the sewer overflows. there's actually 131 billion gallons of sewage that's overflowed into the nation's waters every year. So really, the more inspections you can do, the more effectively you can fix the pipes, and then you can reduce that sewage overflow.
So let's zoom in on this sewage overflow just for a second. What are the risks for the society in a broader, sense? Do we have a risk of epidemic risk? Do we have water contamination risk?
I'm not exactly an expert on the risks, but yeah, you have contamination problems. In San Francisco Bay, for instance, they have a fair amount of overflow into the Bay Area, and then you have people swimming around in there, and it's not a healthy environment.
So what is the law prescribe, and what is the situations today in terms of what do companies do to monitor these pipes?
Yeah, so a city, I mean, they're required to get their pipes inspected by the state and the country, and what they have to do is they have to, they either do this themselves or they outsource it. They buy a sewer inspection truck, which has a camera and a computer and some other equipment on it. And the operators that run these trucks will take the camera, drop it down into the sewer pipes, and then they'll essentially drive this camera using typically like an Xbox controller through the pipes. And while they're driving it, they're looking at a video of what's in the pipes. And they're literally looking for things like cracks and defects and roots. And when they see it, they're writing it into a database. So it tends to be a very stressful job. It's a loud environment. There's lots of things going on, but they have to sit there and concentrate on the video screen to look for all the tiny cracks. So that's kind of like that. The city is hiring these operators to do this inspection work. A lot of times they'll do the inspection work at night because the pipes tend to be less full at night. So, now it's actually a dark road where they have to drive this truck out. They have to park in the middle of the road, set up the cones, and then put the robot in and drive it at night. So now you have even more variables because now it's dark outside. But it tends to be a very stressful job for the operator. And yeah, they're really staring at the screen, trying to look for every little defect and crack. So really, I mean, hopefully it's pretty obvious, but what we're trying to do is to automate the part where they're staring at the screen. So instead of having to do that, they can, keep an eye on traffic and figure out what they have to do next while the robot automatically labels the defects. And anytime it's not sure about something, it can ask the operator, hey, is this a crack or is this, a piece of hair or something?
That's very interesting. So basically you're designing a system that helps the operators to basically execute this task, which, as we said, there are 6 billion miles of piles in the United States, and every year at least 1 billion has to be inspected. So it's kind of a very significant task. What type of cost does a typical municipality incur?
The typical market rate for sewer inspection is $2 per foot. It's interesting, the whole industry charges everything by the foot. So if you go out and do a 300-foot inspection of one segment of pipe, you can charge the city $600. The finances of how we're expecting to do it is we're going to charge probably 25 cents a foot to the operators that are running the trucks so that they can be more efficient and they can inspect more pipe in the same 8-hour shift.
So you're basically charging a little bit over 10% of their revenue.
Yeah, but we're expecting them to be able to operate probably 50 or 100% faster.
And so how does that impact into their economics? So even if they operate 50% faster, what really does change in terms of costs? Because you understand if they have so many contracts per year, it's a constant amount. So they go faster, they finish the work first.
They get paid per foot. So if they're able to do more feet per hour, they typically have a fixed cost to run the truck. But if they're able to generate more revenue per hour, they're able to make more money. Actually, the cities are completely inundated with the amount of work they have. They cannot do enough inspection. So they're required to inspect the whole system every 5 or 7 years. Most cities are lucky if they can inspect it every 10 years. So there's almost an unlimited amount of work. It's really just an efficiency and the amount of budget they have to do that work. So we're trying to improve the efficiency of the dollars spent on the work.
Is there a financial cap on what they can really do?
I mean, I'm sure there is a financial cap, but cities that don't do enough inspections, they get sued by the EPA, and then they get fined by the EPA, and they get forced to do the inspections. So at one way or another, they end up doing the inspection work.
So now let's go back just for a second. Let's try to understand a little bit better how artificial intelligence here is really improving the productivity and the speed, the quality, the overall efficiency of inspecting the sewages pipes across the United States.
Right. So, I mean, the way the operator works now is he literally has this remote control, and he's driving the robot forward. And every time he sees a defect, he has to stop at the defect and literally type into another form what exact defect it is, any particular parameters about it. Sometimes he has to look up into this book what the specific code for the defect is. There's just kind of like very poor UI UX for doing these inspection work. It just tends to be very slow. You're driving and then you're stopping and looking something up and typing it in, and then you go back to driving again. And it's just a very, very slow part of the process. Based on like some numbers that we run, half the time the robot is not driving. It's just sitting there while the operator is, either looking up a code or, taking a smoke break or something. But we feel that we can really, double the efficiency of the robot driving through the pipes.
So let's look for a second here at the technology that we intend to use. So what specific area of AI we're trying to use here, and why and how?
I think of it as like the classic computer vision classification AI. So you're showing an image to the AI and saying, hey, is there a defect in here, and what kind of defect is it? From my perspective, that's kind of like, where a lot of AI got its original design from.
So what is paramount to deep learning technologies that are behind these new capabilities that computer vision has is basically the ability to provide sufficient yet large amount of labeled data for the system to learn. How does that work in this case? Where do you find this data, and how do you really go about operationalize the process of teaching the algorithm what's bad and what's good?
The data plus the labels is really the core value or the core expertise that we're trying to bring here. In order to build a good AI, you need good training data. There's actually a lot of training data available for sewer inspections. There's some industry standards that have been around for 30 plus years. So there's a lot of video and a lot of labels for these videos. So we're actually working with a number of cities in the area, actually all over the country, to get their data plus their labels. There's a really large QA effort that has to go into the data because a lot of these videos are very old and the labels don't line up perfectly. So we have a pretty big effort that goes into QAing the data. And then from there, we put it into the AI algorithms to build the models. And the models that we're looking to build, they're pretty straightforward image classification models. We do a lot of, not a lot of model design, but a lot of, parameter tweaking and whatnot to get good results.
So for our audience here, we have seen in a variety of interviews that in general, these innovations in AI is coming in two big flavors. One flavor is the flavor of, if you like, automatic translations, where you're using this top of the line algorithms and you're further developing them, or speech recognitions, you're further developing them. Another class of applications is, like in this case, applications where you take some algorithms out of the shelves, you just tweak them, but you really focus on applying the AI onto a specific industrial problem, a specific problem that was never addressed, increase the productivity of this program. And a lot of the work is around, creating these efficiencies. Efficiency is in both creating the product, and efficiencies resulting from the utilization of the product. So in a situation like this, where you're trying to increase basically the speed with which the sewages pipes can be inspected. One of the things is going to be crucial is that you don't do the work two times. One, so that's the precision, the accuracy of the system. And the other thing that is also crucial is that the processing of, if you like, the processing of these images is done in a way that you have a decent workflow in place that can really support the speed and make this processing quicker than the human being. Can you talk about those two elements? So basically, one, let me repeat, one is how do you achieve accuracy that is satisfactory to avoid a re-inspection? And two, how do you create a workflow around this technology that really results in the entire process to be faster?
So in terms of accuracy, I think QAing the data and creating a great model is really important. So that's really where we spend a lot of our time is generating this QA data. I think at the end of the day, we're going to be able to build a system that is A, faster, but B, more accurate and more consistent than what I'll say, like, the average human operators that are out there today. The operators that are out there today, they are trained, but it's not like it's not a college degree or anything. It's a 3-day training course. They go out to learn how to label defects in pipes. So I think, we'll be able to build a system that is more accurate and more consistent than just different operators. That's one of the biggest complaints we get from the cities is the different reports are been labeled by different people, and they're just very inconsistent in what they label things. In terms of the workflow, that's a lot of effort that we're looking to put in soon in terms of how are we going to implement this in the existing workflow. And I think it'll be pretty straightforward. There's a pretty massive industry out there already of both hardware, these trucks and the cameras, and the software that the operators are using to do the inspections. And we're hoping to really insert ourselves right in the middle of this existing hardware space and this existing software space to be able to improve the efficiencies by, not having the operator look at it and just letting it go as fast as it can run. And whenever it's necessary, it'll go back and ping the operator and say, hey, can you clarify this for us?
So does this require to be a real-time process? Like, does the answer whether or not there is a defect in the pipe needs to arrive at the time where the inspection is being carried, or it can have, like 5 minutes lag?
Right. It's a good question, and we don't have the final answer to that yet. Luckily, a lot of the images that the cameras are producing right now are actually pretty low resolution, just because the hardware is based in that resolution. The computational power to do the inference on these images is not very high. The requirement is not very high. So we think we'll be able to do real-time, classification if it's necessary on the truck in real time.
We are looking at then potentially a real-time system is trying to save some of the time from the truck operator, at the same time increasing once more the speed with which these sewage pipes are inspected. We repeat it once more, there are 6 billion of mostly outdated sewage pipelines in the United States, and 1 billion a year is required by law to be inspected, and there is not enough ability or industrial capacity to do that today. And with the solution that SewerAi is building, basically the hope is that this becomes possible because of the automation introduced. So that sounds like a typical applications of artificial intelligence to industrial domain, where productivity of the process gets improved. But some of the societal concerns about this process is what will happen of the existing jobs. More and more we hear in the general public, but also in the general media, this new concept that the speed of change for AI is so high that we will not be able to balance. Now, the question is very broad, so I like to keep it into your sector for now. So what do you envision will happen with the manpower that today is doing this type of activities?
Yeah, I mean, our opinion on that is that, we're not going to take away, jobs. I don't think that's not what we're looking to do. We're really looking to just improve the efficiency and improve the amount of work that any individual worker can do, and also make the job a little less stressful.
Why is the job stressful?
First of all, the environment is very stressful. It tends to be very loud. Honestly, it literally smells very bad. It's just not a fun environment just to work in general. And then on top of that, you have to stare at a screen and keep an eye, and like you can't lose concentration. So it's like a very high concentration effort, which tends to be stressful. And then anytime you're moving too slowly, now you've got your boss that's saying, hey, you're not doing this fast enough, and you're also missing things. You got to do a better job. So it's just the type of work it is, and the requirements from the city and the state and the nation are just saying you need more and more and more. You need to be faster, 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 but don't screw it up. So it just tends to be a stressful job. And hopefully we can remove the part where they have to stare at a screen and not blink and not miss anything.
We have already seen back in the past that a lot of manual work has been eliminated by machines, and that has been at the advantages of human beings. Here it seems that we're not only eliminating manual work, but we're trying to go into a new area, which is eliminating stress out of the individual. So what are your thoughts about this, and what could be the potential, alongside or long-term implications of making the job easy?
Yeah, I think it's actually great for the operator, because hopefully they're more efficient. You get that right off the bat, but then they're happier. That's also good. But also now, instead of doing this like repetitive, unfun task, they can actually think about the future. There's a lot of things that they have to keep track of on the truck. What job they're doing next, where are they? There's a lot of details. Is there traffic that I have to worry about? If they don't have to worry about this stressful staring at the screen, they can be a lot more efficient in their overall work as well.
Where do you see this is going?
We see ourselves as really trying to automate and improve infrastructure diagnostics. So that's really the category of the company that we're trying to create is automated infrastructure diagnostics. And there's a lot more infrastructure out there than just these underground sewer pipes. There's everything from overhead electrical wires, inspecting the trees around them, underground gas pipes, highways. There's a cool company called Robotics that's doing automated computer vision on highways and roads to look for issues there. I think that's another area, similar infrastructure inspection automation that is where the future is headed.
Is there, or does it exist, an equivalent in heavy industrial applications? So like I'm thinking of the Dow of the world, and also these large chemical companies, they have huge plants and so on. Is there an equivalent need there, or that's a totally different market?
I'm sure there is a need for, just improving efficiencies and, automating inspections, automating infrastructure improvements. So I'm sure it's there. Hopefully they're doing it. And if not, we'll come and do it for them.
So we look at these infrastructures and the possibility to basically automate, improve the quality of these inspections. What can be the societal impact of this?
At the highest level, we're going to reduce the sewage overflows that are really driving all of this. So, you have this 131 billion gallons of sewage that's overflowed into the nation every year. If we can reduce that, cut it in half or cut it as low as, zero, I think the nation will be, a cleaner place. You can go out and swim in the bay and not have to worry about, inhaling anything that you don't want to. And if we do a good job and we're actually able to effectively inspect all of the pipes, you can much more effectively repair the pipes. So, that's kind of like the sub goal is really to repair effectively. Like, for instance, the city of San Francisco spends $100 million every year repairing their sewer pipes. So, you want to make sure that they're doing that as efficiently as possible.
So with that said, basically our interview is coming to the end with this last message that Matt is helping the entire Bay Area saving on taxes. This was a very interesting interview. If you have questions about this interview, please comment below. If you have suggestions about different topics, please reach out to me. And for the time being, Matt, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Paolo.